everybody.
Hey.
All right. Okay, here we are. So as you can see, we have our guest, Dojo Kun Comics, with us tonight.
Everyone. Thanks for
Welcome,
being
Dojo.
here. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I guess
Glad
we'll just
you came.
first go ahead. I was going to say, so we'll just do a quick update about stuff that's going on for us. So our editor is currently looking at our book right now. So hopefully it's good to go. Hopefully he doesn't say we have to go back to disregarding everything and having to write the book all over again.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Darn those editors. No, I'm just kidding. They're very important. I'm just kidding.
Yes.
We're looking forward to that because that gets us one step closer to the end goal of getting people the book into their hands. And so the only thing else really going on right now for us, if we do have our email sign up page, and we originally had it, if you signed up, you were going to get a card, but now we're changing it and we're going to let people kind of tonight decide what they feel like would be better. Derek, do you want to share what we're currently thinking of doing?
Yeah. If you look there, you can see that we're thinking of doing the sketch card. What we noticed was some of the people that signed up, we started looking at some of the sign up numbers versus who actually, visited the page, and the visits were way higher. And we were like, okay, so if somebody's going to visit the page, what would make them want to sign up and give us their email and trust us enough to do that? And really, I don't have an answer except maybe we just weren't enticing them enough. And that's the start. I think I also put it out on Twitter today that I was just asking outright, what would make you guys back us? What would make you want to trust us right off the get-go from the sign-up page? If you just had to look at that. Go ahead, Dojo.
Oh, call on me.
Yeah, man, go ahead.
So,
you don't have to put your hand up.
Yeah, I was teasing you. So I found as I go to these sign-up pages, some of the things like sketch cards and prints and things like that, they are enticing. I kind of like them, but at the same time, I think that a lot of folks prefer content. And I don't necessarily mean you got to put out a separate book or make your book that many pages longer. What I mean is a discount on the book. So what you're saying is, hey, sign up for this. You're going to get notified when it's live. And by the way, because you signed up early and showed interest, we're going to get a little bit of break on the book. So now, not only am I more interested in coming back to see it when it's live, but I get a little bit of incentive to back you when I get there.
Right. That's a great idea. Yeah.
That's what you put out, right, Derek? That it was either going to be a discount or a sketch card on the Twitter?
Yeah, so later in the, when we have our Duke It Out, we'll do that in a little bit. I'll put it up there and you guys can help us decide what we're going to do. If we're going to do a sketch card or if we're going to do a discount. And so I'll put it out and then you guys can type it and we'll kind of get the vote and see what everybody likes better. Snoggy Jr. here says, you can see who visits your IGG page. The answer is no. All I can see is how many people visited and then who signed up, how many signed up actually. So it's just a numbers thing.
And we were only getting like a 10% return, right?
It's around 14% right now.
14%.
So yeah, so I think we need to look at that, keep an eye on it and just go, okay, what's working, what's not working, and adjust.
It's definitely a learning game. Every step you take is something new. And some things work for one campaign that don't for another, depending on any number of factors, really.
Right. And so one thing that we're going to do with the sketch card was it'll be an original sketch. If you sign up for the book ahead of time and then back the book, you'll get an original sketch. And so that means for every person that signs up ahead. So we'll just see what we get and go from there. If we end up doing a discount, then we'll change that up and who knows, maybe that'll become one of the stretch goals or something. So we'll play with it. Any other updates, Kevin?
No, that's really not it. I mean, with our channel, what we are going to be doing probably in a week or so, we kind of want to have fun with the holiday. Well, it's not a holiday, but Halloween. We're probably going to have some special short videos of kind of the whole Duke It Out. What's the best horror movie out there? What's the do a bracket? What's the best family Halloween movie? What's the the coolest scary character, just little things like that to kind of have fun with it. And hopefully people can come and kind of express why Predator is so much better than Aliens, or why Jason is better than Freddy, and all that kind of fun stuff. So.
Right. Okay. Well, good. Okay, so we brought Dojo on here because he has some new stuff to share with us.
Yes,
And let me get this off. So Dojo, you want to go first and just start telling us, and then you can tell us what you would like to share, and we'll just go from there.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, what I'd like to bring up here is the pre-launch sign-up page, very much like you guys were just talking about yours.
Okay.
If you can share my screen. So the book is called The Healing Wars, Book 1, The Shifter. So this is an adaptation of a trilogy of novels. Now, The Shifter will be an adaptation of the first novel, and they're written by Janice Hardy. She's an award-winning novelist, and it's a pretty interesting story how she and I got together to make this happen. My wife read her trilogy called The Healing Wars. The first book is The Shifter, and she said that it's largely along the same lines as like Divergent or The Hunger Games, if you will.
Cool.
So the main character is a female protagonist. At the very beginning, I hesitate to call her a hero, but you know, she comes into her own throughout the series. And so she said, Brian, I think you'd really like to read this. So, I mean, it looked like it was a quick read, and I read the whole trilogy, and I really, really liked it. So yeah, it's I guess it's somewhat geared toward young adult, but I really, you know, I'm in my 50s and I really liked it. Okay. So I mentioned it to my best friend, Steve, and I said, hey, Steve, you know, there's this trilogy out there. I think you might like it. And he said, oh yeah, would you like to talk to the author? And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, I work with her husband. So if you'd like, I'll get you in touch with the author. And
That's
I
cool.
said, isn't she located like down south somewhere? He goes, yeah, he and I work remote. There, I don't know, Florida, Georgia, somewhere down south. So anyway, she and I got to talking, and this was several years ago when I worked for a different small press comic book company. She agreed and was pretty excited about making them into comic books. The owner of that company kind of dropped the ball. I won't get into the specifics there because I'll get all fired up about it. But he dropped the ball. We parted ways, and she was not happy with how it was handled. So a couple of years later, I reached out to her and said, you know, I've got my own company now. I've been publishing comics for about 6 years, and I was going to be the writer of the scripts anyway. Would you be willing to give me a chance? I'm not the same guy. And she said yes. She goes, you know, your friend Steve, you know, vouches for you. I'll give it a chance. So she and I got to talking, and it took a few months to get things hammered out, how it was going to be done, the contract between her and I, the what kind of license I'd have to pay her. I think it's reasonable. So I thought, oh, that's great. Obviously, I'm not going to talk numbers, but I thought it was fantastic that she's so excited about it. I guess her and her husband are, they're not comic fans on the order of the three of us are, but they are kind of comic fans. You know, they like the comic movies, but they had read comics before this all became a cinematic universe.
That's great.
And so she's excited to see it. And as I started sending her the scripts, she sent back some things that she'd like changed. And it's like having an editor that's really super close to the topic. Because after all, she wrote it.
Oh, that's awesome, man. So that's really cool that you got to read it and then meet the actual author.
Yeah.
And that hardly ever happens, right?
Right, yeah.
And then you get to actually create something according to what they created too, and or off of that, which is really nice. That's a great story.
Yeah, it's fun. I had a lot of fun going through the book a second and third time, picking out which parts need to be focused on in the graphic novel, because the book is 370 pages.
Ooh.
The comic book's not going to be.
That'd be a long comic.
Yeah. I'm
really
thinking,
long.
To be quite frank with you, I'm thinking it's going to be 140 pages.
Okay.
Based on the scripts that I've written. The first intent was to write this as 5 separate floppies for each novel. So it was going to be 15 comics all told.
Wow.
But when I started it out, I don't know, the interest in Just the Floppy wasn't there. I think a lot of people in this current indie comic industry really like the bigger books, like like I just did with Siamese. This is 120 pages.
Hey, K Manifesto.
K Manifesto knows all too well about Siamese.
Yeah.
He's my co-host, so
right.
yeah. But so I thought that what we'll do is, although it could be self-contained, this graphic novel that is the adaptation of the first novel of the three, it obviously it leaves it open to go on to the second and third. So
Right.
A lot of people are using that 3-story arc methodology. I like it, and I think it'll do well in CG and for those that are CG adjacent.
That's great. That's kind of where we're at, right, Kevin?
Sure.
With our story.
Yeah, I have tons. I have tons of questions because with this, are you kind of templating other people that have taken novels into comic books? Is it depending on the writer? How much kind of free will do you have to do with what you want with the story or anything to change?
I see. Yeah, changes are probably a no-go unless they are simply to change like a cinematic view of something.
Okay.
But as far as the voice of the characters or the events, I knew I didn't really have a lot of leeway in that regard. But what I was able to do on my own was decide which of the events in the book were the most significant, the ones that would move the story along best. And in some instances, when you're reading a prose novel, there can be paragraph after paragraph explaining a situation or two characters talking. Obviously, as you and your chat know, that doesn't work in comic books almost ever. Very few times does that ever work. So I had to look at this as this needs to move along cinematically. Now, ever since I was a 5th grader, I've been in plays and musicals and things like that. So I'm very familiar with what a play looks like. So what I do is, most people would call it a screenplay, but I take my writing, before I even talked to Janice about this trilogy, my writing looks like a play is being written so that the artist is the blocking and the movement and all that. So I did that basically using her novel as my prose, I guess, script. And then I scripted it for the visual medium we know as graphic novels.
Yeah. What Derek was talking originally, this comic book, before I ever met Derek, I was writing novels for this story. And so kind of like what you said, this is the first time I've ever written in comic book format. And that's what I've kind of done as well with the play. I've seen, you get comic books and they'll show you the back of how some scripts are written and things like that. But I felt like the play aspect, at least for, even helping Derek to see what's going on, kind of worked the best for me, at least the first time doing this. So that's
that leads to a question for you guys. Believe it or not, hey, I'm going to interview my hosts.
Hey, go for it.
My question is, when you're writing for one another, or when you're writing for your artist, how much leeway do you give them? How much of the picture, the panel, do you describe?
I describe pretty much everything to the best that I can, but I'll give Derek free will to do if he doesn't like it. He usually will still draw it, but if he doesn't feel it, and if there's we only live like an hour away from each other, so there's a lot of times where I just went to him and we would still, even though I have the script, he would kind of draw stuff and I talk to him right then and there. So it's not like he just has a blank script and there's always been a lot of communication, and we're lucky, honestly. I'm terrible at describing things out loud, and there's times I've said stuff and Derek's gone exactly. We really play off each other well, and so there's definitely a lot of my script that was changed, not just the picture, but sometimes words too. Derek really got into me because of novels. He's like, "You're saying too much. They don't have to speak this long. Get to the point. And that was my hardest thing doing this, is getting to the point and being concise." Because you're so used to just, the written word.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dirk.
No, I was going to say I had to kind of show Kevin how to cut some stuff down, though, because he was originally writing it out as a novel. We definitely had to go, okay, that's too much. Let's pull this back, cut it down. Let's focus more on some of the action And yeah, I mean, it was an adaptation, just like what you're doing. So
Yeah,
I'm
so
sure it's hard.
to that point, yeah, you've got to make the panels much more conversational. Whereas
Yeah,
in a prose novel, the person can have like a dissertation in order to describe what they're seeing,
yeah,
as opposed to it's drawn on the page, so you don't have to describe the scene. You can just have the conversation.
right.
Basically, I limit each panel to about no more than 20 words. I might get
Well,
up to 25, but I try to make it as concise or as conversational as possible. Now, there is one scene where there's an awful lot that needs to be said, so I have them like at a coffee shop and they're talking to one another. But it's not a whole bunch of talking heads back and forth. It's one scene with narration and things. So I tried to make each time a character had to go into even a slight monologue, I tried to make things happen while they're talking.
oh,
Um,
yeah.
Now, to your point about the rapport that the two of you have, although Zilson and I aren't an hour apart because I'm in Michigan and he's in Brazil,
Ooh,
our rapport is pretty amazing. I got to be honest. When I send him a script, he either hits it dead on to what I meant for it to look like, or he improves upon it. And in just a little bit, I'll show you
yeah,
a page which is clear that I didn't write it that way, but it's pretty phenomenal. So I'll
that's
get to
really
that.
cool.
Yeah, and he's also very quick, and that will come to bear in a little while too when we're talking about backing this book and how soon it can be fulfilled. Um, but yeah, I don't want to jump the gun on that. First, what I want to show you here is the pre-launch sign-up page. So,
Yeah,
um, as I said to you guys, I'm suggesting that a secret discount or a discount tier rather, is what we're going to use for this campaign. So if you sign up early and then later back the book, you'll get the opportunity to get a discount for doing so.
okay.
If I scroll down here a little bit, I mentioned again that it's award-winning novels. Now, in some cases, the detail isn't super crisp. Like you can see if you really zoom in on this, their faces aren't super detailed. But there are other instances where he just draws expressions so well. And sometimes his detailed backgrounds are great. And, speaking of him being in Brazil, my colorist is in Spain and my letterer is in Argentina.
Man,
So,
Wow.
yeah, believe it or not, it's not Eric Weathers. I know Eric does
Hey.
everybody's. I'm sorry, Eric.
Wow.
I was already talking to
shots
Matthias.
fired.
That's funny.
um,
That's funny. Our team is also spread out just a little bit. I mean, we have Kimasabi in Australia looking at
oh,
our
okay.
script, and then we have Dio Lima on colors in Brazil, which
Oh,
ended
okay.
up being Kimo's his companyman book that he's putting out.
Uh-huh.
Um, his
Dead, White, and Blue.
colorist is Dio Lima too.
Oh my
So we
gosh.
ended up picking the same colorist, which was
And you
really
didn't know
funny.
that?
No, we didn't know ahead of time.
That's great. Yeah, there's a
So
lot
it
of
was
up
really
and
cool.
coming artists and colorists from Brazil. Um, they're really knocking it out of the park
Yeah.
down there. Now, Zilson, he's done work for me before. He did Siamese number 3 and 4.
Okay.
He's done work for Dan Sen at Argo Comics. He did Nature Man. I don't know if you know the public domain character called Nature Boy. Well, Dan Sen, drew him as an adult now called Nature Man, and Zilson did the art for that. And Zilson's done a few other prints and things for me. He also did a what's it called? A variant cover for me for Siamese. I don't know if I'm up on
Oh,
screen for that, but this
okay.
this one
Nice.
is this one
Yeah.
is Zilson's cover.
Yeah, that's cool.
So yeah, I couldn't very well have a Siamese trade paperback when he's done number 3 and 4, and then not have him do one of my variants. If you're going to do a whole
Yeah.
bunch of variants, which I'm not suggesting you do, but if you do a whole bunch of variants, have your artist do one of them.
Right. That's
Um,
great.
so yeah, he and I work very well together, and again, he's very quick. The only thing slowing it down right now is the funds.
Okay.
So
Well, the water looks really good. I like that.
oh yeah, he does a great job with that kind of detail, with the water churning and the ferries crashing. Uh,
Yeah. It's
this
nice.
here we'll have a better look at in just a little while. This page up here where she's walking away from the butcher. Um,
I like the
so
puzzle
yeah,
format though there with the panel. That's pretty
oh,
cool.
you're jumping ahead, but yes, the puzzle format was Zilson's idea. Basically, I said what I'd like him to do is show her making her way through the progression of her morning, going from merchant to merchant, and basically she's getting turned down for work. And that'll become very important as the story goes on. But she's going from place to place. She got a late start in the morning and all the jobs have been taken. So she walks away dejected. And when I said to do that, I didn't say anything about puzzle pieces. But when he came back with this, I was like, oh, dude, that's brilliant. I love it. Now,
That's
what's also
cool.
interesting is he didn't carry it for the whole page, just the top 6 panels. And then the bottom
Yeah.
2, he didn't do it. So I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. He didn't overdo it. I like it.
Yeah, there's some contrast there, which is nice.
Right. He's got a great eye for different angles and all that. And then this speaks to what Kevin was talking about just a few minutes ago, and that is that the artist gets some leeway. So, you know, when we were talking about what kind of leeway do I have when I'm writing the scripts for these novels, not a whole lot. But when it comes to the art, because it's never been drawn before, we have a little leeway there. So one of the things, though, that Janice really wanted to make clear was that these aren't young adults, they're preteens to teenage to like maybe upper teens. So when the characters were first drawn, the male lead, Danilo, had too much of a square jaw. They looked too mature. So that was one thing that she had us dial down a little bit to give them a little bit chubbier cheeks, rounded jaw, that kind of thing, so that they looked more like teenagers.
Okay.
Obviously, as the 3 novels go on, they will get older, but it was important that this first novel started out with them in their teens.
That's great.
Now,
yeah, I love that attention to detail.
Yeah, and she's very detailed as she's going through these. In fact, in at least one instance, she told me I was switching tense from past tense to present. So I had to make sure to go through and make sure that that was all consistent. So, you know, this goes back to what a lot of folks have been saying on their streams lately, and that is an editor is extremely important.
Yes.
I have been a proofreader, an editor, and an auditor for a very long time. I've written a lot of professional papers, but when you're this close to it and this passionate about it, even if you're reading it for that kind of continuity errors and things like that, you're going to get wrapped up in the story. You will overlook it. Not because you think you're all that necessarily, but just because it's how I meant it to sound. You know what I mean? That's what I wanted it to sound like. But it's like, yeah, but you're not being consistent. It's like, ooh, okay.
And that's why even what you were talking about giving Derek leeway is you can think something in your head looks right, but there's times where Derek drawn something and it's like, this doesn't work. You know, it sounded like a great idea, but we need to change it completely. It just, you know, once you see something on the page, it's totally different than what you see in your head.
And, you know, it's also important to note when you're writing a script, I'm kind of giving away a topic I'm going to have on a short video for my own channel in a little while. But one thing it's important to note is you can only have a character doing one thing in a panel. A lot of times when I've edited someone's work, he says, you know, he gets up from the chair, picks up the glass and walks across the room and hands it to so-and-so. It's like, okay, that's at least 3 panels, if not 4. You know, you can't do all of those things in a single panel. These are all snapshots of, you know, portraying action. But the only exception to that, I think, is if you're drawing a speedster and you've got a couple of things in the panel that are super faint or pastel colors, demonstrating that that's where they were a moment ago, but where they are now is in full color over here.
I always think of Spider-Man because when he fought and he would tumble in the middle of a fight, you could see him do a flip, and then he would flip over and he would kick somebody and he would go through. And you would see all that in one panel, but it was he was kind of pasteled out or kind of faded out a little bit to show his movement.
To show that that's where he was. And he's moved on to this other place where he's in full color. Absolutely. So I guess it can be done, but there are certain mundane things that
it's rare though.
You're not going to draw like him faded, you know, in a chair picking up a glass, and then, you know, because that's not very dynamic.
Talking about that though, you know, that's where you kind of pick out, well, what's the most important thing to show too? Do we need to see every bit of that action, or is it just okay to say, okay, now he's up at the sink, or he got up over here at the table, or he, you know, it just depends on what's important to the story in the moment too.
Well, not only that, but you can and need to rely on your reader to fill in the space. If in one scene he's in a chair and the next scene he's at the bar pouring himself a drink, the reader isn't going to wonder, how did he get there? He's going to know he got up and walked over there.
Thank you, Frog Dream, to remind us, like,
Yes, Frog G.
subscribe. We're in that contest of trying to get to 1,000 people. So please
Yes, we are.
subscribe.
Yes, we are.
We're only about 920 people away. So
You can do it. I have faith in you.
That's right.
There's a chance.
So what I'd like to do now, guys, is get off the sign up page here.
Okay.
And show you some of the art. So the first thing let me do is stop sharing so I don't dox anything here. I'm going to go to my folder where I've got them all. Okay, yep. I just want to make sure I was in the right place. And I got to come back to you guys and share again. I'm getting good at this. No audio necessary, so I'll just bring that up and go to this folder.
Okay.
And I can show you the first page of the book.
Awesome.
Okay. Tell me when you're ready.
Have you shown this before, or is this the first time you're showing it?
This is the first. You guys have an exclusive so far. This is the first time this page has been shown.
All right, you ready?
Yes, go ahead and bring it up. So the very first page, she's going to steal eggs from this chicken. And she meets... What's that?
Chickens are violent.
Well, the chicken's sleeping here at the beginning, but as soon as she picks up the chicken, Danilo comes into the scene. He's got a pretty wicked sword. Let me see if I can show you that sword. Look at that sword. I love it. But
that is cool.
So this is their first meeting. He's actually a rancher's security guard, and the rancher comes in and wants her arrested, and that's how it starts out. It starts from there. And you know, I think that the colorist is doing a great job with the moonlight on the side of his face here.
Yeah, you can see it shine. It looks like it's actually shining.
And I know that you guys were talking on B Rose's channel the other night about how the fire was lighting up that one character who was by the wagon that was on fire.
Yes.
So your colorist does a great job with that as well. But H.G. Tobalina is my colorist in Spain. So we don't get to talk often because she's about 7 hours ahead of me. So our schedules are kind of weird. But she actually came on stream with me a while back. We were on Comics Cast Let It Out. And I had everyone but Mike Salter was there. So it was great. We had Zilson Costa from Brazil. We had Matthias from Argentina. And HG got up super early in the morning to be there too. It was fun to talk to everybody all in the same place. It was the first time some of us had ever met.
Oh, wow, that's great.
It was neat. A few of them were worried about, my English isn't great. I'm like, your English is way better than my Portuguese.
Oh, yeah.
Which is like non-existent.
I remember back in high school, we had some exchange students come over, and all of them could speak English. It was ridiculous. And I was like, I cannot speak anything. I can't tell you anything.
Yeah, a couple of years in high school is mandated. I think that we should start learning a foreign language, whichever one you or your parents select, right from the very beginning.
I agree.
Whether it's a European language, a South American language, or Asian, I don't care. But pick one so that you can communicate with people around the world. And as soon as you learn one of the Latin languages, you'll find that learning one of the others comes to you much more simply.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of the rules, a lot of the grammar rules and Latin help. Yes. Well, what honestly sucks is Americans suck. Like English sucks to be your first language. Our rules are ridiculous. Like,
to most of the world, it's backwards. We put our adjective before our noun or our adverb before our verb, and they all do it the other way.
And multiple meanings for the same word.
My school, we didn't take Spanish till 6th grade. Did you guys, either of you, get different languages? Because I had Latin.
I got Spanish in high school.
Yeah, I had French in high school, but
I feel it was
not before that.
I feel it was very basic Spanish. Like they really didn't give us much.
Yeah.
Like I feel like they only give you like 50 vocabulary words, and that was like really it.
Right, and the things they ask or they teach you to say are like, "Please, thank you. Where's the bathroom?" It's like, come on.
Yeah.
May I please go use the toilet so that you can be excused from class? Puis j'aller aux toilettes. But it's like, come on. And high school for me was a couple of days ago. You might have noticed, but I still remember how to ask that question.
That's hilarious.
So, all right.
It's been a while for us too. That's for sure.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to close this one and bring up another.
Oh, good.
So let's have a look at.
Oh, you have a lot.
Yeah, well, we did. Oh, let's look at the puzzle piece page.
Yeah.
Okay. If you need me to stop sharing, you let me know.
No, I'm good right now.
Okay.
So I'll scroll up now so you can see her going through her
So what
morning.
time period does this place in? Because by people's clothes, it doesn't look like it's modern day.
Oh, it's definitely not modern day. I would say if you had to do an approximation, because this isn't really set on Earth, it's Earth. It's very Earth-like.
Okay.
So this is the island of Gevig, and the occupying nation is Basiri. So I would say if you were going to liken it to Earth time, though, the era would be like the Renaissance era.
Oh, that's
Okay.
cool.
So yeah, there will be horse-drawn wagons. There'll be schooners rather than coal-powered ships. And you've got to go to the butcher for your meat, not Kroger.
Nice.
So yeah, so she goes. One thing that's kind of cool is he does the puzzles two different ways also. So showing her progress down the docks, it's the same dock. As you can see here, the progression is all the same
Yeah.
picture.
Yeah.
Whereas the second set of pictures are three different stores that she goes to. The baker, the butcher. I almost told him, could you change that to a candlestick maker?
Yeah.
I'm not
That'd be
sure
fantastic.
though. If being from Brazil, he would get that. So I just left it be a glass blower.
Well, close enough, right?
Yeah, close enough. Now, here are the Basiri soldiers. This part I can tell you about too. So Naya, the main protagonist in the book, her country has been conquered by Basiri, and these are their soldiers with the osprey on their chest. She is an orphan on the run. I'll tell you a little bit now more about the story. So the reason she's on the run is there is a healers league in Gevig where the kids who have the ability to heal, they can take pain from one person and transfer it to another. These kids are called takers. They take pain away. Sorry, they don't transfer it to another. They transfer it to an enchanted metal called pinvium, which is like a royal blue color. Naya, on the other hand, is a shifter. She can't put it into the metal. She can only take it from a person and push it into another person. So because she can do that,
Nice.
the army is keenly aware or would love to find people like her to weaponize them against their own people. So she's on the run. She's keeping her talents a secret, but that gets exceedingly harder and harder as things happen. Like, for example, the ferry accident that you saw in that one picture where there are people hurt and suffering. She just can't let that happen,
Yeah, that's the first
Right.
time Rob's ever been made fun of on our channel because he gets made fun of so
Hey,
much.
it is.
Yeah, that's an event too.
Leave it to Mo, right?
Yeah.
If you turn
Oh,
those
well,
panels into a physical puzzle, Rob would have assembled it in as little as 2 weeks. Oh, it's fantastic.
Oh, wow. He would have gotten all 6 pieces? Excellent.
Yeah, I don't know.
So he's getting a little
great.
better. That's great.
So her clothing is definitely different than everybody else's, though.
Yes, her
And
clothing is meant to be a hodgepodge because she's going from sleeping in I guess I would equate it to a halfway house, to sleeping under bushes outside of Madden Trivent's home, to sleeping by the bridge. And, sometimes it rains on her. Her life is not good. She's struggling quite a bit as things begin.
Okay.
And I'll be honest with you, it doesn't get better first.
Right.
I want to
really
ask
nice.
questions, but I'm afraid if I ask stuff, it'll ruin things.
Well,
he can shut you down, Kevin.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you ask something too spoilery, I'll just say nope.
Well, like I wanted to say, even though they're a different planet, are they human or are they like? See, and I feel like if you don't say anything, it's like.
So you're asking like these folks that are takers or shifters, are they mutants or something?
Yeah, like that, yeah.
That sort of thing isn't really spelled out. I mean, if you're going to equate them to something, I guess a mutagenic gene or a deviant gene would make sense. But that part, because of their era, they don't know things about chromosomes and genes and things like that at this point. So all they know is they think it's either a form of magic or they're just different from everyone else.
So now, just their technology right now is behind than our planet's technology.
Yes, they would be like Renaissance era.
Okay.
So they probably, you know, in all honesty, they would probably think it's just a form of magic.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
And even the people who perform these healings don't really know how they can do it.
Okay.
They know they can. They're trained at the Healers League by certain elders. I don't think that's too spoilery. So, and the elders don't always have these healers' best interests at heart.
So is this more of a fantasy genre or more sci-fi?
I would go with fantasy genre.
Okay.
Because although it's not specifically called sorcery, there is sword fights. It is what appears to be sorcery to these folks.
Nice. Good. There's not a lot of fantasy stuff out there, at least I feel, in the comic books.
Yeah.
I feel like there's tons of sci-fi.
Right. No,
Right.
I agree.
Now I like those
Yep.
symbols on those soldiers.
Oh yeah, let's go down
What's
to that.
I like that.
So
that
those are osprey.
Okay.
Oh, you might also notice that the soldiers all have dark black hair. The Gevegians are either light brown or blonde, and then her friend Aelin is an anomaly with this fiery red hair.
Okay.
And
So
there's a reason for that too.
With the anomaly, do they take that as something to be respected and unique, or more judged and shunned?
Well, that depends on which country you're asking. If you're asking the nation of Geveg, which is where Naya's from, and Aelin, it's revered because it's so cool. It's something different. But the Basiri don't like it because that makes her special, and they don't want the people they've conquered to in any way be special. Now, they give
Robert.
Aelin a little bit of
The
dispensation.
ginger genocide continues. That's hilarious.
The ginger genocide. I am not
Oh
going
my
to change her into a black male character. No, she's going to stay
good.
a ginger. Now, as I said a little while ago, she's about in her mid-teens, but Aelin stands outside what can only be best described as a gentleman's club, and she sort of beckons the soldiers to come in and be customers. But she's not one of the ladies that performs any of the services in there. She's simply out front getting the soldiers' attention.
Aha.
So I say that so as to mention that there is a gentleman's club, but this book is easily for all ages. If you know, a grandchild or your kid walks through the room and sees this book and starts leafing through it, there will be nothing untoward in the book that they can't see. If they don't know what a gentleman's club means, if they just think that means it's a golf club, then that nothing else is explained. That's as far as it goes.
Yeah.
Is that how the author has her book originally?
Yes.
Is it more towards like the teenage readers?
Yeah, it's absolutely all
right,
ages. Snuggy cutting it up in the chat. I can't see the
Yeah,
chat right
a
now,
little bit.
Oh, that's okay. The chat's super important for that kind of thing. It's half the entertainment
yeah.
right there.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it.
You bet.
Okay. Well,
So
good.
do we want to look at one more page?
Yeah, go for it. We're ready.
Okay, let's do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this one, and the reason I'm opening this one, we saw part of it with the fairy in the background and the dock, but I really wanted to zoom in on this top panel. Actually, sorry. First, let me start at the bottom panel, and there's a reason for that.
I have a question before you get started on that.
Okay, sure.
So, how did you pick the pages that you're showing off?
These pages that I wanted to show off had something significant in them for me as far as moving the story along. Number one, I wanted to show the first page to show how the story starts and maybe, you know, spark people's interest. The second page I wanted to show the puzzle pieces and how brilliant that was that Zilson did that. Of course, Murph sort of jumped the gun a little bit and talked about it, but that's okay because I'm glad he was impressed because indeed that was a brilliant idea. And then this page, I wanted to show two different things about Zilson's art. Number one, in some instances, he doesn't get super detailed, and that's okay because he doesn't need to get super detailed to show the picture and move the story along.
Yeah.
In other instances, I think he gets detailed enough that it's just phenomenal. Now, this bottom page or this bottom panel here, these here, well, this one's not too bad as far as detail goes, but these two here, as far as their expressions and their facial features, not real detailed. But when it really matters, I mean, look at this panel here. This panel on the right here. I mean, not only is she a ginger, but she's oh, I don't want to save that little line I just drew. Let me stop doing that. But I mean, not only is she ginger, she's freckled. She's got a shocked expression. I think that Zilson captured this conversation very well right here.
Yeah, that's big. You really want people to feel it. And again, that's kind of the different thing with the novel, you know, than with the comic book is I feel like expression's a little bit easier for the reader to get.
Right. So what would have taken maybe a paragraph to describe her look, it takes one panel to show.
And honestly, I always hated that. Like, I love describing action scenes, but I always hated describing how someone's hair is moving or,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Describing where they're at. I never liked that.
One of my favorite authors when I was a kid was C.S. Lewis with the Chronicles of Narnia.
Yeah.
And he had a different trilogy, Out of the Silent Planet. And the second book in that trilogy, he spent so many pages describing one scene that I had to put it down and walk away. Like I just,
wow.
Enough already. Another example of that is if you've ever read The Princess Bride, the actual book. I'm glad that the movie is an abridged version because there is a few scenes that just they drone on and on about how somebody looks. And it's like, wow, well, I'm glad I saw the movie first.
Yeah, I've never read the book.
Yeah, I feel like Tolkien,
I'm afraid it might ruin it.
I feel like Tolkien did that with Lord of the Rings at sometimes.
Okay.
Not really with The Hobbit, but yeah, Lord of the Rings, there's some chugging sometimes.
Definitely.
So, I mean, on one hand, that really shows their ability to be fully descriptive and immerse you in the world. But on the other, you start to fall asleep.
So whenever we picked our pages,
right now?
Sorry.
Well, Derek, you just brought up something. 13 live better than 2. Does that mean we have 13 people in the chat? Or is he talking about something else?
He must be talking about that. And, we were around 2 in our chat for a while. So,
okay.
So for him to say that, he's right.
Well, I didn't know if he was talking about like a serial killer or something and being like,
yeah.
Notches on his knife handle.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know.
Well, just as soon as he says hi, he's going bye-bye.
Yeah.
So what I was going to say was,
stopping in.
When we picked our pages to show off, that's one thing we worried about was showing spoilers or action scenes that gave anything away at all. It'd be some kind of spoiler. And so I was wondering, was that difficult for you to do, or was it something that's, you felt like you had enough that you could show quite a bit?
Yeah, I felt that I had enough different action scenes, and also too, I'm kind of on the fence as to which ones to show, but largely, I really want to draw people in. So if it's going to be an action scene that might spoil a little bit of how things go, I guess I'm okay with that because I want people to be interested enough to back the book.
Okay, yeah, and that's the thing. Yeah, it's about that balance, isn't it? Figuring out what's going to entice, and then what's going to not give too much away. So, and I think we did that, didn't we? We were going through our pages, Kevin, where we were like, oh man, we definitely don't want to show that one.
Yeah.
We had to do that several times.
You do want to kind of show the best art and the best intriguing, but also too, you don't want to kind of ruin stuff too. So it is, it's a little difficult of what to show.
I think the other thing that I'm thinking about too is we have less pages. We only have 27 pages
currently.
Yeah. And so with that, most pages are counting. You know what I mean? They count big because, I think the more pages you have, then you can go, okay, I can probably show a few more. But
which again, our editor might
not where we're at.
We need a page or two more to, get somewhere in between the action or not. So.
Well, you know what? Sometimes that happens. Like when I was writing a couple of my 22-page books, I would get to page, say, 18, and I'd be like, I don't think I'm going to be able to wrap this in the next 4 pages. So I either have to do something which might appear to be like a rush job and do a disservice to the readers, or I got to do a 24-page or a 26-page book. Not that anybody would lament that, because after all, I'm not limited to 22. I was just kind of going for that feel, and I thought 22 was a good number to go for. But yeah, once I got to page 18, I'm like, nope, 26.
Right.
We had the opposite where I had like 37 and Derek's like, no, not doing 37. Stop this down.
Well, this was my first book that I've drawn, you know, my first comic book. And
Okay.
it was daunting. I mean, I have to tell you, when I thought of 37 pages, I thought, oh no. And it was such a big deal. But then once I got to the end, I was like, did we do enough?
Oh.
Every day.
Have we gone far enough?
Like, we should add more now. And I'm like, where was this guy a year ago?
Well, I'm more seasoned now, you know? That's one thing.
So
But
along
but
those
also,
same lines. Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say along those same lines, the artist that did Siamese number 1 and 2, he was a fine art portrait painter, and I found
Oh,
him in a nursing magazine. He had done an ad for a nursing program, and he sort of did it like, you know, Captain Nurse is going to come save the day. But I thought the art was pretty good. I mean, it wasn't like John Byrne level, but I'm like, you know, this guy's a very good sequential artist. So I reached out to the ad company, and they got me in touch with him. And when I first told him, you know, I'd like you to do he's like, a comic book. Okay. He's like, yeah, I never thought about actually doing a comic book, but I think
right.
he did an excellent job. The only reason he had to part with doing issues number 3 and 4 is because he got a commission to do a life-size portrait of someone's deceased son. So he was like, yeah, I got to go. And I'm like, dude, I totally get it. The portraiting is your job. So I completely understand. Now that he's done with that, though, and actually, I think he's done a couple since then, he came back to me and said, hey, can I come back to doing comic books? And I'm like, you bet you can. So he's doing a story for me right now about an alien that's sort of like a swamp creature, and he's just loving it, and I'm loving the work he's doing on it. So I think it's going to be fun, and that will be coming up in an upcoming campaign, probably after the Shifter.
Very nice. That'll be
I've
great.
always got several irons in the fire. If we go to my
Yeah,
website,
I'm
actually, can
noticing
we?
that.
Yeah, we can
Well,
go to your
if you want to share it, you can.
I was going to see what time it was, if we've got time to go to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right. Yeah, I think we do. So the first thing that comes up when you go to my website is it asks you to join the mailing list. So let me get past that before I go to sharing.
Okay.
Okay. So now share.
Now, have you received a lot of input, like people signing up on your webpage, or is it just Indiegogo?
Oh, I see. Yes, I've got about 170 people who've signed up via the webpage.
Okay.
And then, you know, I've also got people signing up for the pre-launch sign-up phase for the Shifter in particular. So
Okay.
here on my page, first thing we talk about is Shifter, because that's the current thing going on. There's Janice, the author, and her 3 novels. I've got
Okay.
some pages here that, you know, I just shared with you. Page 1's not there. Remember, I said it was exclusive.
Nice.
But
That's nice.
you can see here, this right here is a moving GIF. It's a one-of-a-kind sketch card in color, and you can see that her lips, her eyeliner, and her manifestation of her power are like in glitter and etc. That itself is going to be a tier on the campaign, but it's one of a kind. There's only one of them.
Wow, that's really nice.
So the person who gets that tier will get that sketch card and the book.
Very cool.
Very cool.
Down here, we talk about K Manifesto and I with the shows that we have. We've got both the co-host show and the one called the K Manifesto show with Dojo Kun Comics.
Okay.
The co-host show is on Wednesdays at 10 p.m. Eastern, and the K Manifesto show with Dojo Kun Comics is on Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern. Also, here is the CG guide, you guys. This is a PDF that you can download. It's got as many of the shows as I could compile that all are either CG or CG adjacent. And if there are any that you would like to add, you guys here on this show, anybody in the chat, if there's anything that you think needs changing or adding, please contact me and let me know. I want to keep this as a living document.
Well, that thing has grown a lot, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has.
That's crazy.
And you know, I love keeping it up as a resource for people in CG and those who aren't. That's fine too.
I think
I got
it's great.
some merch. Oh, thank you. I've got some merch on my site. These shirts are extremely affordable. And my wife was saying, if you price it that low, people might think that they're real cheap, but they're not cheap. They're just inexpensive.
Yeah.
I wear it all the time. I'm not wearing it now, but I wear it all the time. It stands up to wash and wear, and it's a great shirt.
Very cool.
Coming soon is the follow-up to the miniseries Siamese, is this Deanna Hammer of the Angels. It's a 4-issue miniseries also. Number 1 is almost complete. So when that campaign launches, the first book will be done. I've got Cobra Lily Bed Chambers. So like it says here, think swimsuit edition without the swimsuits.
Nice.
So that one is not for all audiences.
Okay.
Boy, that's fun. You know what they had? Was the swimsuit thing a 90s thing? I can't think of them doing that anymore.
Marvel did about, I think, 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah.
Image did a couple.
Mm-hmm.
And Top Cow, in fact, is part of Image, did one that was like a lingerie issue. I sort of modeled mine after the Marvel ones, and I was enamored with that because She-Hulk was on one of the covers. And I'm a huge She-Hulk fan.
That's funny.
And then this one here, Megan War, a gentleman from the Philippines who is a former Disney animator. He did Tarzan, he did Kim Possible, and he did The Lion King. He reached out to me and said, would I be willing to publish his story that he's published in the Philippines in America to reach a wider audience? And I'll be honest with you, at first I was like, I don't know. I said, send me some of your art. And as soon as I saw it, I'm like, oh, well, then that's a yes.
Right.
Because wow, is this stuff good. Now,
hey, Dojo, could you share us what is your website address?
Oh,
it's right.
Sure.
Can you see it? It's up there.
It's right here. It's dojokuncomics.wixsite.com/ Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, are you typing it to put it in the bottom
Dojo Kun Comics?
Okay. No, I don't think I'm going to be fast enough to put it in there, but if we look up Dojo Kun, would it come up?
Yeah, it should.
Google? Okay.
Actually, put Dojo Kun Comics, because the Dojo Kun are also the 5 rules of the Karate Dojo. And so you might get a lot of those when you do the Google search. And there's also a game out there that's called Dojo Kun. So just to differentiate.
I got it.
So the Dojo Kun, I'll just tell you, the first one is Hitotsu Jukaku Kinsei no Sutamura Koto, which is seek perfection of character. So there's 5 rules, and they all start with the word hitotsu, which means first. So all 5 rules start with the word first, indicating all 5 are equally important.
I don't know if that came up as a link, guys. Hopefully it did.
Where'd you put it?
I put it out on the chat, but I'm not sure if it came up as a link or if it's just...
Give me a second.
Okay, I think it is a link, guys.
Oh, good.
So...
Yeah, you can click on it, and it takes you right there. Yep, good job.
Okay, good. Glad it worked.
Also on my site are all of the comics I've published previously. So far there have been 12. This one is out of print. This one here, that's the first printing. But if you still want to get this, it's 100 pages. It's a black and white horror novel. It's the children of the big movie monsters, and they're out on an adventure seeking their parents. So if you do still want to get it, it's published by Correct Handed Press. David Whalen and I did this in collaboration with one another. So you can get it off of his site. And if you click on this cover right here, it'll take you to his site to get it.
What are the 4 big movie monsters? What is it?
Oh, okay. So it's Son of Frankenstein, the daughter of Morgan Le Fay, the son of not Dracula, but a vampire named Nikolai Tepes, and then the son of a werewolf.
Okay, cool.
Hey, everybody, if you could right now, I got the Duke It Out at the bottom. Help us decide what you'd like to sign up for. Would it be a sketch card or the discount? We just kind of want to hear what you guys have to say real quick. So back to you, Dojo. I wasn't trying to take that away.
No, it's fine. In fact, I'm wondering if I'm taking up too much of your hour.
No, you're not. You are really not. I enjoy this. So,
okay, excellent. Well, thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity because, these sales are just as important to me as my campaigns. These are all a labor of love. Now, Siamese, These are the first 4 issue. I mean, this is the 4 issue miniseries here. You can get them in floppy version if you didn't get a chance to get them as a trade paperback in the Indiegogo campaign. I did sort of go against my own best wisdom, and I do have a Kickstarter campaign out there now too, hoping to reach some more people to pay for some of this postage that really came out of the blue. And the reason I say that is I charge a certain amount for postage overseas. But I have one package in particular, just to give you an example, that's going to cost me $154 to send to Australia. That hurts.
Okay.
That's a big oof. Because,
yeah, I heard those rates really skyrocketed.
Yeah, and it's largely due to a labor shortage and their lockdown over there. I mean, I have some that are a singular book going to Australia that won't be near that much, but this person backed my top tier, and there's no way I'm going to Welsh on that. I mean, that was an expensive tier. I'm going to make sure he gets it, even though I'm going to take a huge hit on the postage.
Sure.
Oh, when you said that, I thought it was for multiple people. It's for one.
One box.
One.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Wow. So, wait, what was the price again?
$154.
154. I heard, who was it? Was it one of the campaigns I just heard? They were talking about how it went up like $75 for a package for them. So yeah, I know it's going up really high.
It's crazy.
Yeah, when you're only spending $20 on on one of the perks, and then, or $25, and then you have to spend $75 on shipping, that's incredible.
And that's largely why I'm probably always going to offer a digital version, even though I don't personally buy digital because I'd rather have the book in my hand. I also understand that there are people for whom, the shipping is just, cost prohibitive. You don't want to spend $45 on for shipping a book that's $20. I totally get that. That's
true. One thing they keep on talking about is having, trying to find printers over there and things like that. It sounds like a great idea, but you just don't know the quality that you're getting, so you'd never be able to test the book before you can give it to anybody. So that's a scary, daunting thing in itself.
And even though there is a Mixam Australia and a Mixam US, largely over the past couple of months, I've learned that you may as well consider those two different companies because they handle things very differently.
I'll bet they do. Yeah, it's sad. I hate it. I wish we could do something about that. I don't know.
So Dojo, when do you sleep?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. What is that?
When do you sleep? Do you ever sleep or no?
What is that?
Yeah.
What is sleep? Yeah, because in addition to doing all of this, I'm also a full-time internal auditor, anti-money laundering specialist, fraud examiner.
Oh.
Wow. Yeah.
So, in fact, quick story: when somebody cloned Vinny Tartamella's campaign, he had a campaign in Indiegogo. Someone cloned it and put it on Kickstarter as if it was their own. I reached out to Kickstarter and said, "You are culpable in a fraud. You need to take that down." They said, "No, that doesn't go against our terms of service."
It's breaking the law.
Wow.
And I'm like,
wow.
Well, as a fraud examiner, I can't just let it go at that. So I got in touch with the Federal Trade Commission and told them about it. They got in contact with Kickstarter, and then it got taken down.
Wow.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, murder is not in their term of service either, but it's not like they're allowed to do it.
I wanted to talk to you about, eventually, we don't have to talk tonight or anything about that, but eventually I would like to talk to you about starting getting your own imprint name, like Dojo Kun Comics for you. Mm-hmm. We have our own imprint name, which is Mysterion, and how you kind of made that is your business, right?
That's right. Yeah, it's a Schedule C. So I'm the sole proprietor, but you're right, it is a business.
Okay. Yeah. So I'd love to talk to you about that, getting that off the ground, how to get started, for one thing.
Well, I think that's one of Rob has done a lot of stuff, and so has other people on YouTube, of discussing what to do and how to do to get a comic. But I don't think that's one thing that's really been discussed that much.
Yeah, that's a great idea for a show.
I mean, maybe Rob is going to. I mean, he really has hit
how to do it.
He's been hitting a lot of topics and things like that. But
oh, sure. Now you gave him the topic idea. Is he still in the chat?
Yeah. Oh man. Well, I was more giving it to you. I think that would be great.
If I can't do the topic, I'll give it away. That's the only one.
That's right. Well,
no
that's
idea.
something I think it would be cool to see you do on K Manifesto. You know, with K Manifesto is do something like that, because at least give people like direction. You know what I mean? Just where to
Sure.
begin, what to
Yeah.
look up. You know,
Well,
what
you
to
having
be
wonder
a
if
link.
people
mindful of.
even do it, because honestly,
Yeah.
you don't have to do it even to
Right.
be on Indiegogo. You wonder how many people don't realize the benefits
Right.
to do it.
Yep.
Well, and I don't think people realize the taxes that come out whenever you have to do Indiegogo too, right? So people don't even think
After the
about,
campaign,
yeah,
Yeah.
where
The
the
taxes
website's
and
a
the
better
fees.
option.
Yeah, they do take quite a chunk, but it's still better than Kickstarters.
okay.
Yeah, the percentage is lower than Kickstarters, so there's that too.
Well, doesn't
Yeah.
Kickstarter hate CG anyways? Like, haven't
Yeah.
they declared it? Like, we don't want you here.
Yeah, I think if they notice
Doesn't
me on
everybody
there,
hates CG?
they might kick me. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, don't say that too loud.
Down low.
I don't think. No offense, guys, but they're not watching this.
Yeah, that's true.
I didn't
That's
know if
more
like
than
once
true.
you say CG, if they have, you know, what I mean, with the government and everything like that, all the power
Yeah.
that goes out there. So wow, I didn't know
Okay.
you had that many fires in the iron. That's
Irons
very
in the fire,
interesting.
you mean?
What did I
Right.
say?
Yeah.
Fires in the iron?
That's what I meant.
He has a lot of fires in the iron.
Yeah,
No,
I like
irons
it.
in the
they
fire.
burn. That's you made that. The iron's not
Now
going to
you
do
see,
the job
Dojo.
for it.
You see what I have to put up with when I'm
Yeah.
drawing a
Right.
comic? I
Wait.
have to
He,
switch the panels and
he's the writer.
sometimes I feel like I'm the editor. That's
Okay. Nice.
Do you
well, hey,
do you do anything special to get your website out there? You know, outside of
yeah.
having like your Twitter and your YouTube, is there anything you do? Do you advertise for it or anything, or do you feel like it's just something people are able to find?
Oh, as far as out there, I thought you meant
Yeah.
like creating the website, but you mean like marketing
No,
for it.
no, because you have so many
Marketing, yeah.
products on there.
I see what you're saying. No, I use the socials to get the word out. I have close to the maximum number of friends on Facebook. Um, I'm about 4,700 now, so I'm getting
Wow.
close to the max. So when I post something out there, I'm reaching, well, not just friends and family and classmates and things like that, but also a large comic book fan audience. And I'm also involved in, probably no exaggeration, about 50 Facebook groups that have to do with indie comics. So when I share something like that, I also share specifically to each of those groups, just trying to get the word out. And then on Twitter, I'm up to around 1,200 followers, so I'm getting there as far as that goes as well.
Wow.
And with K Manifesto and I doing the two shows, that's helping really get the word out. And I'm hoping that having fulfilled Siamese, the first campaign that I've done, will give backers a lot of confidence. Not only will they see that the book is out there, but that I fulfilled it on time, or just like within 1 week of when I said in September, it was out by the first week of October. And so far, and I'm really glad to hear it, a lot of people are liking it, which I was worried about. So I'm excited to hear that they're liking it as well.
Very nice. Yeah. We're going to put that up one more time so people can remember to back or look up and sign up for the shifter. So, yeah,
Do you
I
have
mean,
a date for when the campaign starts?
I'm not real sure. In fact, what I should let you know is Jake Adams, who runs Tail End Studios, he's known on Twitter as Bionic Bra. He and I both launched it around the same time, and we're going to do a collaboration such that if you back both of our projects, we're going to get a special print, which is an homage print to a cover. I don't want to give too much away yet, but trust me, the artist I'm talking to is very, very well known around these parts.
That's
oh,
awesome.
good.
And
Nice.
former industry pro. So I'm hoping
Ooh.
that will come to pass. His character and mine will be prominent on the cover. And when I say it's a collaboration, I'm hoping to get a lot of other characters involved on the cover as well.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah, that's one thing that I've been a little timid about, is asking people to help us with stuff like that. Not that I don't want to, I definitely want to, but for this first time around, I think I've refrained from jumping into that. And I don't know why. It's probably just because I'm afraid to ask more than anything.
Well,
Not because I can't.
you know what? I'll be honest. A few people turned me down based on, their IP.
Yeah.
They're kind of worried that if they're a part of it, they might somehow, compromise their ownership. And as much as I try to tell them, and that I'm not after that at all. I just think it's cool that our characters are on the same print or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the metal print that I did with Phoenix Animation for the Siamese campaign, I think I had 13 characters on there from 8 different creators.
Oh, wow.
So that was a lot of fun.
That's nice.
And that,
Did they all?
that art was also Zilson Costa.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, did other people draw or just one artist?
One artist did all
great.
of them. They sent me references, obviously, to make sure that he drew them the way they were supposed to look. But yeah, he knocked it out of the park.
Very cool. That's nice. Well, it's past the time, but we're not in a hurry to get off. So it's up to you. If you can hang, that's great.
Yeah.
If
We
not,
shared your website. Do we need to share? We showed YouTube, right? Share Twitter, share Facebook.
Yeah.
Is the Facebook
one thing? That's one thing I was going to show. I was going to actually share a thing Bancroft did. The other night, he put our page up there, our YouTube channel, and he was trying to say Murph and Dirk duke it out. So I was going to play that real quick.
Can you play it?
Well, let me see. Let me see if I have it. Yeah, I have it up. So let me share. See what happens. Okay. So there he is. And I think it's loaded up right to where he goes over to our page.
Next up, Murph and Duke.
Can you guys hear it?
Murph and Dirk duke it out. Did you say?
Oh, wait. Let's go back. Let's go back and let him do that all over again.
23 subscribers. That is the power of Comicsgate. People will band together just in case you upload it.
Wait, got to forward him a little bit.
Well, oh, he does. I'm an idiot. He just hadn't put them on his homepage.
I think I went back too far this time.
Arrogant.
It's coming up.
Because I thought you had no content. He does have issues. Back-to-back issues, Blood Realm, Forsaken Gods. Looks like he's checking out some comics here.
Okay, come on.
Little 15-minute videos. All right, there you go. Well, that makes more sense.
Here we go.
Mo has less than a dozen subscribers. I unfortunately don't have Mo's channel, whatever that is.
Does Mo have a channel?
On this list here. All right, let's close that down. Next up, Murph and Duke. Murph and Dirk duke it out. Did you say duke?
So there was Bancroft trying to say our page, which was a lot of fun. I thought it was funny. I was going to play a clip and just let it keep looping. That's a great loop point if you ask me. But I won't do that to him.
You have Dojo on mute, or Dojo's on mute himself.
Oh, do I? Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, he's on mute again. Stop
muting
him.
For some reason, it clicked off. I don't know why it did that. That was weird.
I put myself on mute because you guys were showing something.
Yeah.
And then when I took myself off of mute, you muted me.
Oh, okay. That's why. I was like, why is it doing this to me?
We don't do anything professional on this YouTube.
No, we're not professional at all.
So,
we're just here to hang, so it's all good.
Hey, that 24 eyes, that's someone's new. I've never seen them before. I don't know what the owls meant.
I've seen them in some chats. So
Outcast Owls is their show. I'm scheduled to be on their show. Let's see, when am I going on their show? November 11th. So it's out a ways.
Okay. I've seen the name in the chats.
Anything else you're going to be on? Anything else you need to promote?
Well, tomorrow night on the co-host show, scheduled is Steve Dye with his campaign Rocket Magazine. Chris Fix is going to be on there to talk about Infinitale Chronicles. And I'm hoping PTP, Patrick Thomas Parnell, will be on to talk about Johnny Phantasm Extreme 93 and his Sleepy Hollow books. And my co-host for tomorrow night, because it's a rotating co-host, is going to be Jeremy, Lord Crackhead 33.
Nice. That'll be great.
And
that's a stacked show.
Yeah. And then for the flagship show, the K Manifesto show with Dojo Kun Comics, let me see. We have we're going to be talking about why indie comics matter. This is on at 8 o'clock on Thursday. we're going to have. Well, we've reached out to a couple folks, but we've gotten confirmation from Michael Siegenthaler, the creator of Skits, and Statistical Zero, one of the fans in the chat, who he creates a lot of fun both in his Twitter posts or tweets and in the chat. So the third one I better not say just yet because we haven't got confirmation yet. So
okay,
but if we do, he's another big name, and he'll be able to speak very, in my opinion, wisely as to why indie comics matter.
Very nice. That'll be fun. Well, yeah. So okay, I think we're going to call it a night. Thank you, everybody, for joining in. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
I really appreciate it. Both the chat and you guys having me on the show. It's a pleasure. We've talked very briefly before, but thanks for having me on. It's great to talk to you guys in full now.
We appreciate it. Everybody have a good night. See ya.
Hey.